The elevator doors clanged shut, trapping Arthur within the cramped metal box. He was late again. His tailor shop, once buzzing with customers, now stood eerily empty, a testament to his dwindling fortune. He stared at his reflection in the polished surface, a man frayed at the edges, his once sharp suit looking more like a faded shroud. He sighed, the familiar scent of despair clinging to him like an unwanted cologne. As the elevator lurched upwards, a figure materialized beside him. Tall, with eyes like burning embers and a smile that promised both power and ruin, the man was unsettlingly handsome. Yet it was his presence, a tangible cloak of darkness, that chilled Arthur to the bone. "Lost your way, old friend?" the man asked, his voice smooth like velvet, laced with an amusement that sent shivers down Arthur's spine. Arthur, tongue-tied, could only nod. "Don't fret," the stranger continued, his eyes flickering with a light that made Arthur's skin crawl. "I have a proposition that might interest you. Wealth beyond your wildest dreams, success that would make your former customers weep with envy." Arthur, desperate and grasping at straws, blurted out, "How?" The stranger's smile widened. "Simple," he said, leaning closer, his breath smelling faintly of sulfur. "I can grant you all you desire. All you have to do is give me what's mine." He reached out, his hand a blur of darkness, and touched Arthur's forehead. Images flashed before Arthur's eyes: a sprawling mansion, a fleet of sleek cars, his tailor shop overflowing with customers, their faces grinning with admiration. "But there's a price," the stranger stated, his voice a low purr. 6 souls. Young, pure souls. Virgins." Arthur recoiled. He couldn't comprehend what he'd just heard. "I don't understand." Stranger laughed, a sound like gravel scraping against stone. "Don't worry," he said, "I'll make it easy. You, my friend, are going to be my instrument." He pulled out a small, ornate dagger, its blade shimmering with an unnatural light. "This will guide you, and trust me, it won't take much effort." Arthur stared at the dagger, fear twisting his stomach. The man was insane, he thought, but desperation gnawed at him. He glanced at his reflection again, the man within looking back with eyes dull with despair. "Prove it," he whispered, his voice a croak. The stranger's smile broadened, a cruel mockery of warmth. "Very well," he said. He held out his hand, and with a chilling snap, the elevator lurched to a halt. The lights flickered, then went out, plunging the car into darkness. When they returned, Arthur gasped. The man's face was now a grotesque, horrifying mask, horns sprouting from his head, his eyes glowing red. He was a creature of nightmare, a being of pure evil. Arthur, petrified, was on the verge of screaming, but the stranger cut him short. "Now, do we have an agreement?" Arthur, his spirit broken, could only nod. He accepted the deal, his life, his soul, his very essence traded for a promise of wealth and power. He left the elevator, the weight of his decision hanging heavy on him. He was no longer a man, he was a vessel for darkness, a tool for the devil. He took the dagger, its touch cold against his skin. The first victim was already in his sights, a young girl, radiant in her innocence. He approached her, his heart a lead weight in his chest, the devil's laughter echoing in his ears. The deed was done. The girl, pure and innocent, was gone, a new stain on his soul. As he moved on to his next target, a sense of unease gnawed at him. The devil's promise of wealth and power was nowhere to be seen. Instead, he found himself sinking deeper into darkness, his life a desolate wasteland of guilt and despair. One night, after his 5th victim, Arthur sat alone in his shop, the darkness pressing down on him like a shroud. He looked at the dagger, its surface now a dull, lifeless gray. He could feel the devil's presence, a cold, slithering snake coiling around his heart. He realized with a horrifying epiphany that the devil had never intended to fulfill his end of the bargain. He was merely using Arthur to feed his own dark hunger, to reap the satisfaction of a soul corrupted. A wave of despair washed over him, leaving him with an echoing emptiness within. The devil had tricked him, playing on his desperation, feeding his greed. Arthur, now a shell of his former self, had become a slave to a torment he had willingly invited. His last victim, the sixth and final one, was his own soul, swallowed by the darkness he had embraced, consumed by the very evil he had helped unleash upon the world. He was a puppet, a tool for the devil, a vessel for the darkness that would forever haunt his existence.